Okay, great blue heron. This was a lovely uh, image. I thought it had a nice composition. It had lovely light. I thought it was technically good. I liked the colors of the flowers kind of matching the beak. Um, I felt this didn't have a real strong impact because it's we're in the bird capital of the world, I think, and um, so bird images are going to be typically in all competitions. They're going to be more critical because they are just so flooded. They're so common. So they have to really, really stand out. So I thought it had all the good elements. It just didn't have real strong impact. I love the light on it, but I gave it a 13. You can go on to the next image.
I'm waiting for it to go. Come on, baby. Try that button. Whoops. Hang on a second. Somewhat difficult. There we go. Tranquil Garden Pond, it's called.
What's tranquil? Okay. Tease. Okay. I thought this was a nice scene. It's unfortunately the light here is so harsh. It looks like a middle of the day photo. It wasn't taken with a time exposure. It looks like it was walking through maybe a quick shot. I think this is a lovely scene. I think it had good colors in it. However, I gave it a 9 because I think it can be improved significantly by putting your camera on a tripod, coming back and shooting at a different time of day would hugely improve this scene, because I think it's a lovely scene and I think it's worth working. Also, I would crop in your crop a little bit, your composition coming in on the right a little bit. That rock on the right, I find, kind of just takes you right out of the picture, and also on the lower left. So those rocks need to, I think, be cropped out or cloned out. But I think you could even come in on the right. It's just, I gave it that score for those reasons.
Next image, eye contact with an osprey.
Okay. This was great, great image. It was a great capture. I really liked the capture. I felt that this was a denoised image and that it was overdone on that because it had lost the details in the shadow. And so I felt that it just looked like it was really denoised quite a bit. It was a great capture. Coming in straight in is not a great easy shot. They're easier to shoot going side to side across your view, your field of view. But good capture, good impact, and so I gave it 13 because of the technical issues I had with it.
3 Hungry Wolves.
Okay, this I gave a 15. I thought the impact was fabulous. I couldn't find anything wrong with this image at all. It's I thought it told a great story. I thought technically it was excellent. I just loved it. It had fabulous impact. Tonally, it's rich, it's good, it's, you know, the composition is excellent. I just couldn't find anything wrong with it. I gave it a 15. Excellent, excellent image.
My Backyard.
Okay. Okay, this was I felt was a nice scene. It had good saturated colors. I felt it was slightly soft. I wanted to see more sharpness. I just thought technically it was not terrific. I thought the composition was okay. I've seen better. I wasn't crazy about the white sky at the top. I would have worked this because I thought the colors and the saturation were lovely. But it didn't have a lot of impact. I gave it an 11.
Hitchhiker.
Okay. This had a nice composition and capture. I really like that. I really like scenes like this in nature. Unfortunately, technically, I feel this image suffers. The bird, you know, the title is Hitchhiker, which points to the bird, and the eyes of the ox are soft. I felt that the color balance was off, and I also felt that the vignette was pretty harsh. It was, I'd like to see that softened a little bit. I want things to be subtle. I think subtle, you know, in the beginning when we first learned, and I did this too, there was a lot of overkill. And, you know, I've learned over time to kind of pull back and with my edits. So this is one of the areas where I would kind of pull back a little bit, because you can still have a nice vignette and draw attention to the subject without the vignette being quite so black. So I gave it an 11 because it had some technical difficulties.
Cheetah Mom with Cubs. Okay,
this is another 15. Perfect. I mean, I can't find anything wrong with it. You know, I kind of start at the top, and what I do is I start every image with a 15, and if I see things that detract or pull away from it, I deduct accordingly. And it's a beautiful composition. The color is beautiful. The light is beautiful. It tells a great story. It's another winner. It's 15.
Shades of Pink.
Okay. I'll find my notes here. Because I'm not in order according to you guys. Okay. This I thought was lovely. It had really nice impact, lovely image, love the texture on it. I thought it was technically good. I gave it a 14 for one reason, and I didn't give it a 15, and that was that I felt the right edge was too bright. Even though it had some nice texture in it, I would have liked to see more of the texture that was on the left, on the right. It takes my eye out of the image, and it's brighter than a good chunk of the flower. So that is a problem for me. But I thought it was beautifully executed as far as the composition and the texture. And it had nice impact. I gave it a 14.
Taking Off.
Okay, I gave this was also a really nice capture. And I know how hard they are to get birds with good light, with good detail, and and sharp, and in a good composition. Those fit all the criteria. This image fits all that criteria. The issues that I had with this is that it's a very pixelated or grainy image, and that can be corrected. And with the technology we have today, it's really helpful to learn how to use those tools that we have to denoise some of these images. I also thought that the background really was a distraction. And the reason why, even though it's a solid background, it's not a pretty background. And it takes away from the beauty of the bird. I'd rather see that bird in a beautiful setting. I think would complement the image better. Or the other thing you can do is blacken it down, darken it down as much as possible. I use a lot of dark black backgrounds. I let the details fall out to really make my image pop. So I think this is an image that would benefit from some more editing, but it's really got some good bones, and it's a really nice capture. I gave it a 12. Wait, hold on. What's the name of this? Taking Off?
Yes, I believe so.
I gave it a 12.
Moving on. Bayfront.
Okay. Where's Bayfront? Okay. Bayfront. I liked this image. At first I didn't, and then I sat with it a while. I kept coming back to it. It breaks all the rules, and I like that. It's the horizon straight across the middle, but I think it's got great lines, and it's arresting, and it's a framed, this thing is framed. What the problem I had with this image, hold on, is sec. Whoop, I just lost my other piece of paper. Hold on, sorry, because I really spent some time on this, and I don't want to shortchange anything, but the problem I had with this one was the colors. I felt that the colors were just off, and it seemed a little bit flat to me. So I ended up, I don't even know what score I gave it. Let's see. I gave it a 13 because I did like it, but technically I thought it could be pumped up a little bit. It seemed a little bit flat. So I detracted for that, but I thought it was a good image. I liked it. I liked the fact that it broke the rules, and that worked for me. And it had a center of interest with the boats and the people looking out. I liked that.
The Stair.
This is, I will say, this is my favorite image of the evening, and I gave it 15. It's absolutely perfect, and it's so dramatic. The colors are just superb. The saturation, they're perfect. They're not overly saturated. The softness going right into that sharp white eye. It's definitely, I think, in my opinion, the best image of the evening. So I gave the 15.
Patterns at Ringling.
This one, patterns are nice, but there are patterns and then there are patterns. And I gave this a 12 because I thought technically it was excellent, I thought it had good colors. I thought it had good use of repeating lines and shape, but I felt that the impact was less than profound. And I want to be wowed when I look at an image. Whether it's a subtle wow, but I just didn't have that wow factor. So I gave it a 12. But technically, I thought it was an excellent image. Good use of repeating lines and shapes.
Final flower of fall.
This this image is, technically the flower is tack sharp and it's got some nice colors in it, but it suffers from the harshness of the light. Babies and flowers need soft light. There's just no two ways about it, unless you do something really dramatic with a flower. But it's really, soft subjects need soft light, because you need those elements to work together to create, a good photo. I also felt the background was quite busy and the flowers centered right in the middle of the photo. I think the use of a diffuser would have really helped here. Change your angle. If you have to shoot in the middle of the day, get a diffuser. Work your subjects. So anyway, this photo got a 9, but it's a good start and certainly a subject worth working on.
My Lady Angela.
Okay. This one I liked a lot. However, I did have some technical issues with it. Let's see. I thought it was a beautiful portrait. Love the red. And she's beautiful. Those two things give a tremendous impact. I thought the light was lovely. And I liked the use of the blue background, but what didn't work for me here was the mood and the background being a little bit bright, for the dress, the pose, kind of the look you're trying to create here. I'd want to see more of a mood around this. I mean, obviously the maker knows what they're doing as far as lighting and backgrounds and so forth, but I think this image could be improved by really darkening it down and making it more moody, making it kind of, the dress is kind of an old fashioned looking dress. And I would, work with that, but bring mood into it through darkening it down and darkening that background for sure. And then the other issue I had with this was her hair. Her hair, two things about her hair. One of it is that it's green and brown in different spotty, and I don't know if that's Photoshop or she colored her hair, but either way, it's very distracting to me. And the other thing was the flyaway hairs that are all over her head. If you're going to enter a portrait, those things need to be dealt with. They're distracting. All the fuzzies all around her hair need to be taken out and smoothed. And so I gave that a 13 because I thought it was a really good portrait. It had strong impact in the beginning, but I did detract for those technical issues.
Curly flower.
Okay. Great image. Nice impact. I gave this a 14. And the only reason I didn't give this a 15 is because this image would have been perfect with photo stacking. Whoever the maker is, if you don't know photo stacking, I would encourage you to learn it because this is a great composition. I love the colors, love the solid background. Um, it just pops. But the one technical difficulty here is the leaf in the very, very front that comes from the left to the right, the very front one is soft, as is the very front of those little, you know, whatever you call them. Somebody help me because I can't remember my
A
science.
stamen, maybe?
Stamen, yeah, the little orangey thing that looks like a hot dog. You know, that's soft too, as is the one next to it, and the one in the background. And this image it has such good impact, but it should be tack sharp throughout. So I gave it a 14 because it's a strong image, but it does suffer. So I only took that 1 point off because it's just such a good image. I really liked it a lot.
Dragonflies at rest.
Okay, this I gave I don't know what I did this to. I think I gave this a 10, and I think it needs. It was a nice composition, but what suffers here is the background and the noise. The background is a brown muddy, and that needs to be changed in curves. Somehow this background actually detracts the color wise. It takes away, I think, from what you've got going on in the foreground. It's very noisy. It's and it's just really not a real strong image with a lot of impact. So I gave it a 10.
Screech owl.
Loved this image. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Wanted to give it a 15. I gave it a 14. And the reason I did was because it, you know, well, first of all, let me tell you, it had great impact. Love the colors. I think it was technically really nicely done, except for the left upper corner. And my reason for this is I find that orange in the upper left corner detracts, and my eye keeps going to it. I can't get away from it. And it's driving me crazy, you know, because I love the image. I love the green, you know, and the fungus on and the lichen on the branch. I think it goes with his eyes, and it's just a great image. I love his face. I would desaturate that upper left corner or darken it down, but definitely bring it down, because I don't mind the other little spots of orange in there. They don't bother me, but that upper left takes my eye right out of the image, and I keep going there. So I gave it a 14. Great image though. Great image. Loved it. Oh, I'm losing all my notes. Okay.
Graceful landing.
Okay. Okay. I thought this was an excellent capture. Again, wonderful detail in the white. None of the highlights are blown out. Technically good. It had a good composition. But again, the background here, I think, detracts. It's not a pretty background. It would be very easy to darken this background down to almost black. Leave just a little bit of texture in there. And it's also, again, you know, you've got to be careful with birds, because you've got to have something unbelievably unusual. I think technically this is an excellent photo. I think it's a good composition. I gave it a 13 because I think it has a little bit of commonness, and I didn't like the background. But really, other than that, it's a good image of this bird, this egret landing. So I really applaud the maker for that.
Penguin perch.
Okay, I gave this a 14, and the reason I did is I thought it had a great impact. It was it had, technically it was good. It was a nice composition and colors. And I thought it had good scale, but I just thought that it just seemed the tiniest bit soft to me. I don't know why. I think it is, but I gave it a 14. I'm very selective about what image I give a 15 to, and I thought it had some really good stuff going on and some good impact, but some of the other ones had more impact. So, but well done, nice image.
Pestle morn.
Okay, this is a pretty image, and it's a lovely soft image, high key, somewhat high key, and I like that. There's a nice capture. I felt it was a little grainy, but the other thing that I thought hurt this, as much as I love this pink texture on there, I thought that it really would have benefited hugely by taking that texture off the face and the eyes. The eyes of in a picture are really, really important, whether it's an animal or a person. And these eyes are soft, they're covered over by the texture. So this is where you have to do selective, editing and get a brush and take away that texture. It really took away from the photo, but I loved the idea of the pink. I thought it was really creative, and so I gave it a 12.
Team putting drill.
Okay, where did my notes go? What's the name of this? I'm sorry.
Team putting drill.
Team, the first
Team,
one. Yeah, okay.
team putting drill.
Okay. I thought this was a fun image. I thought it had great colors. And I thought it had a fun composition. It had good storytelling, but it didn't have a really huge impact to me. And there was also, again, it felt like it was denoised a little bit too much. There's not really much detail in the leaves, in the grass, in the clothes. It just looks, the denoising looks a little over the top. So I took away for that and I gave them 11.
Toccoa River Rapids.
Okay, this is a lovely scene. I like the perspective and I like the composition. I thought it was nicely done. It just didn't have a huge wow factor to me. And so I gave it a 13. Impact is the most important. That's why it's the top of your your list of, you know, elements that goes into a good photograph. That and the technical piece, those things are so critical, those two. And it just didn't have a really, really strong impact, but I really thought it was a lovely photo.
Final touch.
Okay. This is a nice kind of working like you know, I guess it would be a documentary type of thing. But I thought it had good selective focus and it had good colors, but I had a real problem with the upper left corner. And I would have, again, this, whatever it is, and you know, if there was a top going over at that blue in the upper left corner, needs to go away. And it needs to be, there's a number of ways you could do this. You could desaturate it or, you know, change the color, darken it, you know, somehow bring that down, because again, my eye is going right out. Also, his chair could have been darkened down a little bit in the lower left corner. And I gave this a 12. I didn't think it had, you know, it was a nice photo, but I didn't think it had huge impact.
Bottle brush.
I liked this photo. I thought it was well seen as far as the colors and the light. I thought the light was interesting. Normally, again, you know, I referenced flowers earlier, soft, soft. In this situation, because it's a spiky flower and the leaves are kind of spiky and it's strong light, that works. I think the light works here on this kind of spiky image. What didn't work for me is the fact that the image was soft except for the very, 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 very center, the back of the very center of the flower, which was your darkest part of your image, and it's the smallest part of your image. And so, you know, the whole thing needed to be sharp, I think, to work. And also I would have, I think your cropping could have been improved by tightening it down a little bit so the flower wasn't, it's not perfectly centered, but it's too close to the center and you get too much space around it. I would, you know, you could bring that down. I wish I had a pointer and I could point to you guys, but I would bring it down on the top a little bit and on the right. And so it was more in that upper third corner of your image. So this I gave a 12.
Soft touch.
I thought this was, this made a nice documentary image. I thought it had good impact with the face. I thought it had good colors. It just, you know, good composition. My issues with this were the upper left and lower corner. I thought, again, be careful of your corners. That upper left corner is bright, and your eyes are going to go to the brightest part of your picture. There's just no two ways about it. And the sharpest, bright and sharp, those things are important. And so I like looking at this face. I would have lightened up her face, the woman's face, a little bit. I love the face on the chalk drawing. I would have lightened her face to blend in more with the face on the drawing. And then there's this little teeny tiny bit of her skin in the very lower left corner. That needs to go away. It's tiny, but it shows up. So the upper left and lower left corners, I would have adjusted and lightened her face. Um, and okay, what's the name of this again?
Soft touch.
Okay, sorry. Did I tell you the score yet?
No, not yet. I'm waiting.
I worked hard today. I really gave it a 13.
Well done. Beauty and Grace.
Oh, I thought this was a lovely portrait. It did have a couple of issues, but I thought it was lovely. And let's see where I am here. So I gave this a 14. And the reason I did, I'm not going to use my notes, is because of the hair in the eye. I thought the light was beautiful. I thought her pose was lovely. I love the use of the sunflowers. Her expression, the exposure was great. But the hair in her eye had to come out. Even, you know, and I've done that. I've had hair in eyes like that. And I go in there pixel by pixel and clone out each pixel. And it's time consuming, but it's worth it because it's really a distraction. And it's, you know, it's just a pain, but you need to do it on something like this. And the other thing is that I would have cropped it a little bit more on the left. I thought the balance of her, she was just a little bit too far over to the right. And I like her off center, but she's a little too much off center. So it's off balance a little bit. There's too much space on the left for how close she is on the right side of the frame. So I would have brought that over a little bit and balanced it more. So I gave it I told you a 14, I think I gave it a 13 because I took off for the hair and the crop.
Is that a 14 or a 13?
I'm sorry, I gave it a 13 because I took off a point for each one of those.
Got it. Peyto Lake at sundown.
What's the name of the lake?
Peyto, P-E-Y-T-O. I don't know whether I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, that's all right. I just need the first letter because okay. Okay, I thought this, you know, these landscapes are so pretty, but this had some technical difficulty. And first of all, it feels crooked. These are tough landscapes, but you know, even if it wasn't, I still would have tried to straighten it out a little bit. I do like the girl in the lower right corner. I love people for scaling pictures like this. I think that they're great. And especially with the blue jacket that almost matches the blue in the river. So I thought that was good, but you know, the scale was great, but there's no detail in the clouds. And I thought there was not a whole lot of detail in the mountains. And for landscape, they have to be pristine to really get a good score. So I gave it an 11.
Coming of age.
Okay, this is another image that I gave a 15 to. And I just thought this was exquisite. The impact was huge and it's very arresting, and she's beautiful to look at. Those lips are you know, the red lips with that kind of auburn hair was just really, really arresting. I love her hair, the way it's edited, how it just feathers off her shoulders. I'm going to say something, even though I gave it a 15, I loved it so much, I couldn't take a point off. But what I noticed, there was one teeny tiny flaw, and it was so minor that I didn't take a point off for it, but I noticed it, so I'm going to bring it up, is her lower lip. And there's a little, it was edited, I can tell. And because I can tell, that's the problem. I don't want to see that it was edited because the lower portion of the lip is kind of, it's not shiny at all. And there's like a line, and then you've got the shiny part of the upper part of her lower lip. I just noticed it, that's all I'm saying, but it's a perfect image. I would go back in there and just blend that lower lip just ever so slightly more. But I thought it was beautiful. 15.
Honey, I brought you something.
Okay. I gave this a 12, and the reason I did is because it's a good capture, and but the color's off. The color is just, so technically it really suffers, but it's a good composition, and it's sharp, but the color, I can't get past the color. It seems a little bit, well, the color is just off. It's flat or something, or the blue. The colors aren't working. I would really work your colors in this one, and it needs to be, it's way too blue. So I gave it a 12. And again, birds, wow. You know, I've got a lot of images like this. I'm a birder, and so I'm going to be a little harder on the bird pictures. Sorry, you guys, I am. I've seen some phenomenal bird pictures, and this is what I'm, you know, but this is a really good capture. I thought it was well done, and it's a good composition.
Now what do I do?
Okay. Okay. I liked this image. I thought it had good impact, good detail, and you know, it's a fun image. I gave it a 13, and the reason I did is because I felt that the texture, it was so textured that I felt that the texture in the water almost competed with the fish and the bird. It's just too much texture, and it almost made it busy. I would rather see your eye. My eye is going everywhere because everything's sharp, and there's just all this texture, and I want it's simplified. I want the texture taken out of the water, so my eye goes just to the fish and the bird. But good impact, and good colors. So I gave it a 13.
Big gulp.
Okay. This I gave a 14 too. I loved it. Just, oh my God. You look at it and you go, wow, wow, great impact. The only reason I gave it a 14, I would have given this a 15 because I thought it was really a great capture. Great image, and the background is soft, but I did have a little bit of an issue with the background. I want to tone that background down. And it's a little bit choppy. I want to soften it and tone it down a little bit. And but I love the image. I love the bird. I love the fish. I love the colors. The colors are just fabulous. So I did give it a 14. 1 point off for the background.
Lake Placid wall mural. I thought this, sometimes you got to be careful when you shoot an image of somebody else's art, and you do combine, you know, the foreground. But I felt this image lacked detail in the clouds and in the sky.
it had a good composition, but I felt that the subject was a little bit weak. I'm really not that interested in seeing somebody else's mural. I want to see the photographer's creativity here. But it did have good colors and composition. I gave it an 11.
Chip says peak.
I thought this was really fun, fun and cute, and I gave it. What did I give it? I either gave it a 14 or a 13. Just a minute. I can't find it. What's the name? Chip, it says Chip. Okay. The reason I think I gave it a 13. Yeah, I did. And the reason I did is because it's grainy, it's pixelated. And I would have also toned down the grasses just ever so slightly, and brought up the shadow side of his face just a little bit. But my biggest complaint was the grain. I thought the composition was great. I thought it had good pop, and really cute, good feeling image. Well done, well placed, really good. So I gave it 13.
Okay, I guess that's the end of the first category. Digital creative, 15 images.
Okay.
First one is juvenile barred owl.
All right. Once again, I could not find anything wrong with this image. I love it. I love the colors. I love the pose. I love the expression of the owl, the texture. Very well done. Very well edited. Excellent. Nicely done. I gave it a 15.
The stare.
Okay. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is a perfect example. I love this image. Love it. Perfect example of overkill. I took a point off because I thought the eyes were too overdone. He is dramatic enough with that outfit on, his face, the black, oh my gosh, the pop. Great image, great image. I had to take a point off because I thought it detracted. The eyes were overdone and it detracted. I think it would be, if you made those eyes more subtle, you can still bring them out and make them pop, absolutely, but it's too much. Bringing it back in and you're gonna have a winner. That's a great image, great image. Well done. Give it a 14.
Ballerina in blue, ascending.
I thought this was very creative, and I gave it a lot of points for that. I thought it had good impact. I thought it had good colors. My problem I had with this was her fingers, the red on her fingers. You've spent a lot of time on this image, creating this composite, and I would have taken a little more time and taken all that red out because it ruined the picture as far as I was concerned. It's spotty on her fingers. I don't know if it was why it's there, if it was polished, but it's on her skin, and red pops, and I notice it right away. And so because it's such a noticeable detraction, I gave this image a 13. but I thought it was really well done and very creative.
Reflections of my life.
Okay. I liked this image. It's busy, but I like the title. I thought the title really contributed to the image. Very strong. And it just, you know, my eye goes right to that guy. However, there's always a however. What I would have done to improve this image is the color. I thought it felt a little flat. I would have punched up the color on this, and I would have darkened around. I would have put a nice vignette. You don't want to notice a vignette, but you want your eye to go to your subject, and your subject is that person sitting there at the bar. What a great story. This tells a wonderful story. Visually, the impact is wonderful because your eyes, the leading lines are great. Goes right to your subject. But it's technically the color, and you need to darken the outside of the image down because it takes my eye out, and I want my eye to go in. But you've got great lines. You just need to work this a little bit more, and you're going to have a really, really, really nice image and a great title.
You have a score?
Oh, I'm sorry, 13.
All right.
I'm sorry, I thought I gave that to you.
Winter's Chill.
Another beautiful, beautiful image. But again, I just thought the texture needs to come off the head. It's just, you need to do a selective, you know, and take that texture off. But oh, what a lovely image. I love the snow, soft. My other thing is, besides the texture of going across the entire bird, was the cropping. I think this would have benefited greatly by cropping down the right side quite a bit and putting that bird in that upper fourth right quadrant of your composition. So, you know, it's just a beautiful texture. Love the bird, but the take the texture off the head and crop it, and you got a great image. I gave it a 13.
Butterscotch Rose.
Okay. This one I had a little bit of a problem with. It's got great impact, I'll tell you that. Great impact. It's bright, it's dramatic. Got good colors and shapes, but I felt it didn't have a lot of sticking power. And what I mean by that is that I have nothing to relate it to. I want to bring meaning to what I look at, and this is maybe a personal thing as a judge, as you know, as a photographer. I want my images to have sticking power. And so I have to have an association, and I don't here. I don't associate. Abstracts can be fabulous, but I want to know what it is. I mean, I can't even tell this is a rose. It's so, if it is a rose, it's so far removed from looking like a rose, and so it really becomes kind of an image in and of itself, and it doesn't have a whole lot of meaning for me. I gave it a 13, and it had great impact.
Funky Snow Cross.
Okay. Okay, this one, I struggled with this image, because to me, it's not a photograph. It's a filter put on a photograph to make it an art. And I will say that, you know, there was another image in the competition that was, I believe, by the same maker, because it was a very, very, very similar image, but it wasn't cartoon. It wasn't put in a sketch like this one is. It was a regular photo, and it was really nice. And I find that it's just hardly, I don't know how to judge it. I think it lost its impact, especially compared to the other one I saw that was of this scene. It just lost a lot, and it's kind of a fun thing to do. It's a filter. You put a filter on it, but I don't. It didn't work for me. I gave it a 9 because I didn't know how to judge it. It's not really a photo as far as I'm concerned. It's a filter on a photo that changes it to something different.
Strolling.
Okay. Nice image. Lovely composition and composite. Really sweet, fun image. Love the duck, love the colors, love the texture. I gave it a 14, and I felt that the duck looked a little bit too, just a tiny bit too fake on the road, but it was really close. And the other thing was, I would have just darkened down ever so slightly that upper right corner. Again, your eye goes to the brightest spot in the image, and that upper right corner is brighter than the road. So my eye keeps going up there, and I just bring it down a little bit. You don't have to do it much. It's still going to be lighter than the rest of your texture, because that's where the light, that's where the light is supposed to be coming from, which is fine, but it's too bright. So, but it's a 14 for sure. You know, nice image.
Schooner Head, Acadia.
Okay. This is, I'm from Maine. I can relate to this image. It's a pretty composition. I thought it had some technical difficulties, and one of them is the filter, the painterly filter that you put on it. I thought it was too much, and it took away from the image. These filters have sliders on them, so you can only put a percentage on them, you know, and it just looks like a filter was slapped on here, and it looks like a filter. It doesn't look like a painting. It looks like a filter on a picture. The other thing I would have done is I would have flipped it horizontally. You read images from left to right. And my eye always starts on the left, and there's your image, there's your subject, like right there immediately. And then you've got this big open space to the right that takes my eye out of the image. If this were flipped, I would, you know, I think that open space would give you more room to move into the image. And then you get your building and your on the other side, and so your eye comes into the image, and it's just a better composition. So I gave this a 12 because I thought it had really good potential. Liked the colors quite a bit. I would rework this image and try that and see if you like it better.
Bayou Moan.
Oh, I love this. I love this. What a great low-key image. Beautifully edited. really beautifully edited. Tremendous impact for, an image that's subtle, but it doesn't scream at you, but it's got tremendous impact because it's so creative and it's so well done. I gave it a 14, and the only reason I took a point off is the composition. I thought that the tail was just too close to the edge on the right. And I felt that you could have moved that whole scene over. And, I like, and because it was too far on the right, you had too much space on the left. I just wanted to move that whole image over in the frame. But this is a nice image. I gave it 14.
Bull rushes.
Okay. I like the idea of this. I've played around with this, and I've seen these, vertical pans done really nicely. I felt that that this one didn't work, and the reason I felt that it didn't work is, I looked at it, I went, whoa, impact, yes, but too much, and it's too bright. And I felt that there wasn't enough differences between, I want to see more. I want to see more into this, and to me, it's almost too much motion. There's not enough separation, and I thought it lost a lot in that. I've seen other ones that are more well done. If they're woods and you're panning some birches and you can kind of see into the woods, and I thought this was too overdone. And so, what was the name of it again? I'm sorry.
Bull rushes.
I gave this a 10.
A 10 was it?
Yes.
Moving on. Zoom, zoom.
Okay, well done. Well done. It takes a certain skill level to do an image like this. I like the colors. It's kind of neonish and goes with the subject. And to pop that image and get, looks like you popped it with a flash to get that face so sharp. It just is really nicely done. Breaks the rules, of course, but it comes right at you. Great impact. I gave it a 14. Thought it was really nice.
Okay, to rest here, but don't doze off.
Okay. Boy, oh boy. This again is another, what a beautiful scene. What a beautiful waterfall. This is one where I would have flipped the image in the waterfall, but more importantly, I don't think the red chair works here. And the reason why is because it looks so fake. And not only that, but the chair is soft. I would have scored this a lot higher, actually, if the chair had not been there. And I would have flipped it horizontally. I would have liked to have seen the leading lines of the water coming in from the left, and then having, again, the crest of the waterfall be on the right side of the image, not on the left side. So I gave it an 11 because I thought that the red pops. My slogan if it's red, shoot it, but it didn't work here. It just didn't work. I'm sorry. I gave it an 11.
Flamingo reflection.
Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. How did I do this? I gave this a good score because I just thought it was really well done. I like the colors. They're bright and neonish, and I thought the texture was just absolutely perfect with this image. The colors of it, the texture on here really made this image stand out. I thought the composition was good. The pose of the bird was good. I gave it a 14, and the only reason I did not give it a 15 is because I would have liked to have seen this image flipped horizontally. The texture, the bulk of your colors are on the left. That is stopping me. That should be on the right. I want my eye, and also you've got the solid, you know, bluish green on your right. I want that to be, I think it would work better just to flip it. But because again, it's lighter, that blue-green is the lightest part and it's going out of the picture. Let it bring me into the picture, you know, and then you're kind of framing your bird here with this colors of texture, you know, the textured colors on the right, that I would think that would work better on the left. I mean, I'm sorry, vice versa. It is on the left. I think it would work better on the right. So I gave it a 14.
Night light circles.
Okay. This was very creative, very creative. I thought this was well done. I like the composition. I like the colors. You've got your complementary blue and orangish color. Good placement of him. What didn't work for me here was that there was nothing really, really sharp in the image. Everything was soft, slightly soft. And I gave it a 13 because I thought it was creative and good, but I did take away for that. I thought it needed some sharpness. Let me just add something. You don't have to go back to it, but especially with those lines, those very graphic lines, I want sharpness. When I see something that's very graphic, I want to see sharpness with it. Okay.
Digital documentary, 17 images. A chance encounter.
Okay. Okay. This image is a nice quick snapshot, but I don't see it being much more than that. And I think it would have benefited from a kind of pretty severe cropping. You've got, it's busy, everything in the background is sharp, which competes and causes a busyness with your subject. And I didn't think it had really great impact. I think it would have done better if you had, it would have had more impact if you had really cropped it in and maybe given it a different kind of an edit, you know, to make it more fun. It's kind of a fun, funky picture, but I just didn't think it had a lot of impact. I gave it a 9.
The bull always wins.
Okay. Great action shot. Perfect action shot. Good expression, good composition, good selective focus, you know, with your aperture. These kind of shots in these rodeos are so difficult to not have the people in the band in the bleachers in the back. But you know, and I thought, as always, you know, it's going to take away. But you know, for what it is, I thought it was excellent. I gave it a 14. I only took 1 point off because I know you can't avoid that. This was really well done. Good image, good, solid image. Nicely edited, nice, technically really good. it's just the background, and it is what it is. It is what it is. It would have been great if it wasn't there. It would have been better. It would have been perfect.
Ready for liftoff.
Okay. This one, I love the colors, had good impact. I technically, I thought it was well done. I had two issues with this image. One was the light post coming up in the green and yellow balloon. It's a huge distraction. And so it really detracted for me. And the other thing was the composition. I think the composition could have been improved by bringing in the left side. And it seems out of balance to me because you've got the right-hand balloon chopped off. And so it's kind of heavy on the right where you've got, you know, sky and grass and a girl on the left. I would have brought your crop in on the left slightly into that green and yellow balloon. So the crop and getting rid of that post hurt this image, but I thought it had really good impact, and I love the guy's bald head. I thought that was funny. Anyway, I gave it a 13.
Locked out.
Oh my goodness. I love this picture. Oh God, I loved it. What a great story. And look at Ernie. Oh, Ernie makes the picture. He makes the picture. And just the repetition with all the kids with their hands on the bars and the graph. Oh, it's a great photo. It's got great impact. I gave it a 14, and the only reason I gave it a 14 was because Ernie is the picture. And I mean, the whole thing contributes, but he is just great with the name tag on his back and his pose. But he's darker, and the girl on the right is really light, and your light is coming in from left to right. But you can easily darken that left side down and lighten him up, you know, make it more balanced. And wow, you got a winner. I gave it a 14. I mean, it was such a minor defect because it has great impact, good composition, and it's a fun image. It gives, you know, very, you know, photography needs to impact you emotionally. You know, it's an art, and we relate to art emotionally. So this has a lot of emotion in it. I think it's a great shot.
Bringing the catch to the nest.
Okay. This one is excellent capture. I'd be really, other than the fact that it's soft, which really hurt it. And that's why I gave the score I did. But I do want to compliment the maker on the pose of the bird and the fish. It's just clean, you know, it's just a really nice pose. Love the lines of the wings. See, this is what makes a better bird image, because you've got that wings are just really interesting. And then with the fish in there, just, I really love that. I don't mind the plain background. It's good, it's clean, but the bird is soft. Oh, you know, it's just, the eye is soft. And it really took away from it. And I think I gave it a 13. What's the name of it again? Let me double check.
Bringing the catch to the nest or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, bringing in the couch. Okay, yeah, I gave it a 13 because technically you just can't have a soft image like that, but it's a good composition. It's a good capture as far as the composition.
Blue heron flying home with nesting material.
Okay. Okay, this one, and here's another flying image. This one technically is better. It's sharp, but you know, when again, you know, birds are just a dime a dozen down here, and when you get straight wings and a straight body, it looks like an airplane, and it loses its fluidity, and it becomes more like, you know, birds flying are like people walking. And unless you get an unusual pose, it's like a person walking. And so it's lost its impact. It's, it's just very stiff. You know, if the wings were back and large, you know, but technically it's a really good image. And I gave it an 11 because it doesn't have a lot of impact because it is very, very, very common, unfortunately. But it's a good capture. The maker did a good job getting the sharp, tack sharp, so that was good.
Model A.
I thought this was, you know, red pops, you know, and so it had some impact. However, I thought the subject was a little bit weak. I wanted, he's lifting up the lid. It, you know, it is a car show. I just didn't think it had, the subject was strong enough. And I would have liked to have darkened it down around the edges too, all around the whole. This image would have benefited from a vignette, darkening it down around the edges because my eye, it's the inside and he is darker than your edges. So I gave this a 12.
Face of Honduras.
I thought this was an excellent documentary image. I liked everything about it. I loved his expression. It told a fabulous story. His shirt, everything. Where he is in the frame, the rusty metal on the right, and, you know, juxtapositioned against the beautiful foliage of these great, you know, third world trees that are just lush and beautiful with vegetation. But again, it's all soft, but it all contributes to the story. And his face is just fabulous. I gave it a 15. I thought it was perfect. I thought it was really well done. Excellent technically as well.
Morning preening.
Okay. All right, this also again, this was nicely done. What I noticed about this backlit image, it's got some nice rim light and the maker lightened up the face, lightened up the head. Good job. You know, this, you have to do that. And they did a nice job, even though the subject is all in shadow and it's just rim lit. I thought it had a pretty nice composition, but again, it's very common. And to see an egret scratching, and I liked the background. I thought the background worked here. I gave it a 12. because I just didn't have as much impact as I would like to see.
Racing to the finish.
Okay, here's the image I was talking about when I was talking about that other image that, you know, was more of a cartoon, a sketch. This is so much more impactful. I loved the snow in this, and great. It was perfect. I mean, the snow, great impact, good retention of detail in the snow, which is really hard when you're working with that contrasting an image and you've got detail in the woods, and it shows, you know, the environment, and it tells a great story. I gave it a 14, and the only reason I did give it a 14 is because it was just a tiny bit grainy, and that could have been fixed, I think, by denoising it a little bit, you know, through some application. So, but wow, good capture, great action, good work.
Walk of Remembrance.
I liked the idea of this, you know, being patriotic, and I thought the colors were nice in here, but I think this image suffered from it being tilted and the horizon not being straight, which is very disconcerting. And also it didn't have the impact I would like to see. I think it would have really helped this image is to have a person right in that center walking down that aisle there, especially that would go so much better with the title Walk of Remembrance if you had a person in there. And also, you know, it's pretty static. It's got, you know, you've got your lines going this way, and it's kind of static. I would have maybe, your horizon line is almost in the middle. I might have lowered it or made it lower or higher or something. So I gave this, what's the name of it again? Oh yeah, I gave it a 10.
Brothers.
Okay, I like this image. I thought it was told a good story. Certainly, you know, depicts nicely a third world country. I thought it was a good portrait of the three of them. I didn't think it had, you know, quite as strong impact as some of the others. I did like the background, but I gave it a, what did I give it? Hold on. I gave it a 13. I thought it was good. I've seen other documentaries that are a little bit more impactful. I would have liked to have seen more interaction with the brothers, I think, but it's a good portrait. I thought it was worth a 13.
COVID testing, Sarasota.
Okay, now my understanding on this is that, and please correct me, should this be in the black and white category? Or is it okay in this category?
I can't.
No, that should be in the black and white category. Because the documentary images, one of the rules of the F3C, and that's what we're trying to follow, is that it has to be in color, it cannot be in black and white. So that would disqualify that from being in this category.
Okay.
Jack, I know you're out there. If you want to weigh in, I'd appreciate it.
The maker? You're asking the maker to weigh in?
Oh, Jack.
Benny. Hi, Joe.
Hi.
Yes, in documentary F3C rules, we have a separate category for monochrome. So all the images in documentary must be not only color, but only global enhancements with the total image, lightening, darkening, that sort of thing. Telling a story as the main criteria for judging.
All right, so
Yeah, that would have to be disqualified, yes.
Sorry, guy.
We're not going to give it a score then.
Right.
Looking at you eye to eye.
okay. Okay, very good impact, good close-up of the bear, sharp, tack sharp, good technically. I did deduct a couple of points, and the reason I did is because I felt that the face of the bear should have been lighter. He should have been lightened up, and his fur behind his neck darkened down, and because that's lighter than his face. And the other thing that I found very distracting was that lower right corner. Again, you can leave it, but I would have desaturated it, made it almost gray or brown and darkened it down. You know, you've got some, you know, grayish, brownish stuff going in the upper right corner. So you could easily, and it's a little bit soft, but the green, I would have liked just the green around his nose and face and not in that lower corner. I thought that really detracted. So I gave it a 13 because I thought it had good impact and it being such a good close-up and so sharp.
Down to the sea.
Okay. This was cute, but I want to see a face. Lovely colors, good perspective. You know, good placement in the image. This would have been so cute if I like the rear end on the one bending over, but I think it would have been so much more impactful if the other one was facing the camera. To see no faces and have it just kind of loses it. I'm just looking at the back of two birds then, and so. So I gave it a 10 because it just didn't have much impact. But I thought the colors were nice and the composition was nice.
Life on the street.
Okay. I like this. I thought this was colorful. It was fun, and you know, I love documentary images like this because here this dog is, you know, he looks like, you know, he belongs with Bridget Bardot or something, you know, he's the way he's laid out, and it made me laugh. And I love the blue and the red colors that they just pop. But I gave this a 13 because of the cropping and the upper, you know, it's just a little bit too tight, you know, close to his head on the upper portion of the image. And also, I think I would have darkened down the greenery behind the truck. And you've got, you know, space down below his foot that you could prop up, you know. So if you had anything more on top, it's a little bit tight there, or bring the whole thing in, because now I just see how close his head is to the top, and he's got a lot of space at the bottom. But good impact, fun, great colors. It's just really a good image, and it's, you know, good editing. Technically, it's very good. So I gave it a 13.
Okay, now straight back.
Okay.
It better be straight back.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yeah, you know, another good image. Good colors. I just didn't think it had tremendous impact. I liked the red. I gave it a 12. Technically it was good. Everything about it is good. But it just didn't have the impact that I would like to see in an image. So.
Okay, looks like we're through with documentary, and our last category is digital mono, 23 images. Yukon Lake.
Lovely composition, lovely landscape, tack sharp, love the sharpness, like the you know, it's got some nice middle tones, but I felt it was a little bit too contrasty. And what I would have done here is darken the lower part. The stones are too bright, and that's not the center of the subject. Your subject is your driftwood with these beautiful mountains in the background, and the driftwood is beautifully placed. It's a lovely composition, but all it's just way too contrasty. The stones are too bright, and your shadows are all blocked up. So the shadows need to be opened up, and the stones need to be darkened down, and you've got a really nice image. I gave it a 13.
Empty streets.
Okay, this one, I love the perspective on this. It almost looks like you put the camera on the ground, and that's different perspective is really good. It's very unusual, so it brings impact, and you've got some great leading lines. But what I would have done here is that you've got more of your leading lines, which is not your subject, than you do of your subject. So I find that your balance, for me, the balance is off because, and your horizon line, which is the top of your street, is almost halfway. But I would have cropped the bottom, the bottom brick. And, you know, it's interesting. I wish I could show you, but I brought a piece of paper up to those second, not the very bottom brick, but just where the corners of the other two bricks came out to the edge, propped it there. And then I would have liked to have seen more on top, because then you are half and half. But it's, you know, it's well seen. I just think your balance is off. You got too many leading lines and not enough subject. I would have reversed that. And as I already said, I'm repeating myself. So I gave it an 11 because to me, the image now is more about the bricks than the city scene.
Skoka Bus in black and white.
Yeah. This I loved. I love the scale. Scale is a great tool in photography. And that little tiny guy there is beautifully placed. The composition is perfect. I love the softness of the falls. It's a little bit grainy, or not grainy, but it looks old. You know, there's a lot of, you know, there's not a lot of detail in the rocks. I'm fine with that. Somebody else might have a problem with it. I don't. I just thought this was really well seen. I think it's a really good composition, and I gave it a 14.
Skyway in black and white.
Okay. This image is technically excellent. You know, there's very, you know, the sky is nice, the tonality, you've got nice tonality going on here. I think what really detracts from this image is the composition. your subject is the skyway, and what really makes the skyway are these grates, you know, these things going up, not the bridge itself. And you've cut that off, and you've made most of the image about the bridge. And I just, I think your subject is, I want to see the whole, that triangle thing, and it's cut off. And I think it loses its impact completely, unfortunately, because I think technically it's excellent. And so, what did I give it? I gave it a 12. I would have given it a lot higher if you had included the whole thing of the actual structure of the triangle portion of the bridge. So I just thought the subject didn't work here for this composition.
Inglis Falls.
This was a nice black and white. What I just technically, it was really well done. It has really nice tonality to it. It's got a beautiful composition. The water is beautiful. My only issue with this image is that I found it a little bit busy. The texture in the rocks, I found almost competed with the water. Felt almost, as far as the scenic, it felt almost busy to me. And I want to look at it and feel softness, and I just don't here. So I gave it a 13 because I thought technically it was really well done and a good composition.
Crowfoot Glacier.
Okay, this image is a, again, beautiful landscape. Where I think this image suffers is in its cropping. I really want to bring, it's heavy on the right side and it throws it out of balance. You've got way too much dark on the right side compared to your left side. And so I just want to crop it in. I think it would be a much better image if you just brought that, the right side in, just and cut off that peak of that slope coming up, that really dark slope in the front. Just bring it in enough to cut that peak off. And I think you've got a better image. I also felt that the snow was a little bit blown out, and I'm picky. It's a lovely image, but I gave it a 12. I've seen better landscapes.
New Zealand Seascape.
This I also gave a 12. I thought I thought it was a little bit soft, and technically that really detracts. I thought it was a good composition. I thought it had a nice mood to it, and I liked the leading lines going up to the horizon line, but it was just soft, and it wasn't as strong as other landscapes that I've seen. I gave it a 12.
Amish parking lot.
I really love repeating lines and shapes, and I think this had a lot of good potential. I like the tonality of this. I like it in black and white. What doesn't work for me here is, again, the cropping. I find that the white sky and the roof of the garage really need to go away. It you need to crop it out and focus on those wheels and the shapes of the tail, those lights and the triangles and the circles. A lot of repetition shapes, that's your subject. And so I would have, you know, again, I went to a workshop where they always said, work your subject, just don't take one picture, take 50, you know, from every angle, up, down, sideways, you know, get in there and get that repetition. I love your idea, it's creative, it's got some nice impact, but it loses it in your cropping, it dissipates it. So I gave it an 11, but it's a good idea, keep at it.
A path through aspens.
This is a very lovely scene. I like the trees, I like the composition. I find the editing to be harsh, which to me does not work with the kind of the soft feel of the composition and the subject matter. So I don't think for me the editing works here. Also, it looks like you've put a vignette, a lighter vignette around the outside. If you didn't, it's very subtle, but if you didn't, I would have, you know, if those leaves were light and the trees and that lower right corner is very light, I would have darkened those down and brought out the middle, which is because that's where your eye wants to go. Your eye wants to go down the path. I don't want my eye to go around the outside of the image, and that's where the lightness is. And again, it's just harsh. I gave it an 11.
Downside up.
Okay. This, wow, I don't know how you got that, but the cropping is very tight on this. This jellyfish is absolutely nowhere to go, and so I find that it creates a more of a static image. I think it's got some nice impact, but the other thing that detracts from me, and I love the border, by the way, on the black, which is really necessary in a situation like this when you've got black, black, black. You really want to separate it out from what's going on outside your image. And but the little soft filament tendrils of the jellyfish, I don't know what's wrong with them. There's something wrong with them. Sorry, you see my face stare into the camera. Anyway, it's I want to see the soft delicacy of them, and I'm not. They're clumped. There's not good separation. The ends are I don't know what's wrong with them. But it doesn't. Something's wrong, and I don't know what it is. So I gave this a 10 because the cropping I don't think works here either. So, but I thought it had, you know, the idea was good.
Bighorn sheep.
Okay. This was beautifully edited, beautifully edited. Beautiful texture, the detail in the sheep's heads and the fur is just exquisite, and the light. Nicely seen, nicely edited, technically beautiful. I gave it a 14, only because I just wasn't hugely in love with the placement of, you know, how I'm glad that you got the whole head of the sheep behind the front sheep's tail, but so much of his body is hidden. I just, oh, I wanted a little more separation there, but it's just a beautiful image. And I gave it 14.
Still a favorite of mine.
Okay. Oh boy, I love this scene. At Selby, I love the waterfall. Technically, it's beautiful, lovely light. Um, what kills this for me, this image, unfortunately, I just couldn't, I spent a long time on this image. I looked at it a lot. Was the reflection of the piano, the top of the piano in the water. It killed it. It just killed it for me. It's just a big white blob, out of focus blob that's white, right in the center of the image. And yes, it's a reflection, but it just so detracted from the composition that I didn't. What's the name of it again? I'm sorry. I want to see what score I gave it.
Oh, a favorite of mine, something like that. Let me go back and. Oh, still a favorite of mine.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes, I gave it a 13. I took just because technically it was so well done, and dude, and as far as being a black and white image, it's beautiful. The tones are beautiful. So I liked that, and I thought it had a nice composition. But again, I just couldn't get past that reflection of the piano top in the water. I gave it 13.
Stretched out.
I liked this image as well. Fun image, really tells a great story. A little bit too contrasty, good composition, but you again see how the detail and shadow is all blocked up. There's absolutely no detail in her sneaker foot, and almost no detail in her shirt, the highlight portion of her shirt. So I just found, and the rocks, see the light on the rocks in the lower corner next to her lower foot are blown out. It's just too contrasty. But it's a good image and it tells a great story. I gave it a 12.
Orlando, 1 billion BC.
Okay. What a beautiful composition. Beautiful composition. Love the width of this and the scale and everything. But unfortunately, I think technically this image is a disaster. And I hate to say it like that, but it's grainy, everything's blocked up. It just doesn't work technically. And impact and technical, the tech, those are so important, and it just really detracts from me. So I gave it an 11. But the composition is beautiful. I'd love to see this technically be a better image.
Backroads Barn.
Okay, I really enjoyed this image quite a bit. I think it tells a great story. I think tonally it's excellent. I like the composition. And the bird makes it, just makes it. Without that bird there, this would be a very okay image. But it gives it a lot of impact with that dark black bird against that really, clouds, that it looks like you really punch those up to bring them out. Good job. Nicely edited. Nice tonality. I gave it a 14. Really nice image.
A snowy blood mountain.
I thought tonally this image had good tones in it, but I felt it was a weak image. And the reason why was because the subject being the trees was just busy. I want to see, I don't know what to look at. There's just so much tiny branches. I'd almost put this into a graphic, you know, stark black and white or something. But I think for me personally, this image misses. And I'm a little stickler about this, but you know, dust spots in skies are a huge no-no, and because it really is such a simple fix. And to enter a photo in a competition, if you're gonna take the time to edit this, please take the time to blow it up, you know, get it large on your screen and scrutinize, especially a sky. You've got a big dust spot right on the right side, just above the tree line. And it's too bad it was overlooked because I saw it and I took off for that. So I gave it a 10.
Ballerina in black and white.
Okay. I thought this was a lovely pose. I thought it was good hand placement. I think this photo would have benefited from a stroke around it. Also, I thought that that the light was a little bit harsh on her chest, and her hair. I would have liked to have seen that softened somehow. I thought it was very pretty on her legs and her tutu. But the other thing that really was a distraction for me was the wrinkles in her shirt. When you're doing a portrait like this, you know, it has to be really clean. And the wrinkled shirt coming up right underneath her elbow there just doesn't work. So I gave it a 13 because I thought it was well done as far as being a studio shot, and the lighting, the placement of the lighting, I thought was really nice, and I thought it was a lovely pose. Give it 13.
Wish you were here.
I gave this a 13 as well because I thought it looked almost like a pen and ink. It's kind of graphic. I like that. What I found that the reason I gave it a 13 is that I thought that the horizon line was really kind of, the subject matter was right in the middle. And I'd either take off the sky, more of the sky, and bring that up into the upper third of the image or the lower third, but not right in the middle. And I think I like the sky better, and maybe I would take off the lower third. I don't know. I mean, I'd play with it, but I just thought the placement of your, you know, and the whole subject is the scene, but it's dead center. And so it makes it static. You want that movement, and placing it on the upper third or lower third of your quadrant of your rectangle would be really helpful. So I gave it 13, but tonally good, and I liked the composition as far as the subject matter and so forth.
Canadian Rockies.
Okay, this one I liked as well. Like the rocks in the foreground, good subject matter. And this works as a vertical because it's about these rocks. And I think because you tightened in on it, it really draws your attention by putting it in a vertical format. And so I gave it a 13. I was conflicted because it was a vertical format, but I also wanted to see more of the background. I thought the background was beautiful. Anyway, I gave it a 13. I thought it was a good image, and I thought it had good impact.
Cool dude.
Okay. Okay, this image is kind of a fun street scene. It had some issues, and I think it could be improved. I think tonally, it was good tonally, had some good tones, but I think it suffered compositionally. And I think color, light-wise, your subject, the guy on the bike, is in shadow, and he's dark, and your background is light. Again, where do you want your viewer to look? The background supports the guy riding, but you've made it more important because it's so much lighter than your subject. And I would have cropped that top down. I don't like the white sky in there. And if you could give more bottom underneath his wheels of his bike, I would have, if there was more to play with, I would have done that. So I think the cropping is weak. And I gave it a 10.
Twin herons.
Okay. This is I like this as far as let's see what I did for score. I really liked the subject here. I like the composition a lot. I like the use of the vignette. I don't think this works in black and white. I think it's too busy. I would have loved to have seen this in color. Because that's a nice shot to get the two birds like that in the same pose. But it's just the tonally, your background is competing with the tones in your bird, and it's just too busy. I can't see the bird. There needs to be more separation tonally between the birds and the background. But it's got a lot of good going for it. If you shot it in color, I'd go look at that again and see if you could resurrect it. And I'd also darken your legs down. They're really bright in this image. So did I give you a score?
I'm waiting.
Oh, okay. I gave an 11.
The Lady Angela.
Okay, this is the same image as the one with the red dress. It's just done in black and white. And, so I have my same criticisms, as far as the hair. I think it's a striking image of her. She's beautiful. So it's shooting beautiful women has good impact. It's just no two ways about it. But I don't think this works quite as well in black and white. I thought the red dress was more striking and had more impact. And which I didn't really notice in the color, but I did notice in the black and white, is a dust spot on the left. And sorry I'm nitpicking, but this is a competition. And it's so easy to remove those. So just, you know, if you're going to take the time to enter an image, pay attention to those. I gave it a 12.
Osprey landing with nest material.
Great capture, good wing pose, really nice capture, very sharp. Technically, I think this image suffers just a little bit. It's grainy, it's pixelated. So again, a denoise on this would have been helpful. And also, I find that, you know, man-made platforms are not quite as arresting an image as to, you know, bring in nesting material in a natural environment. I gave it a 15 because I thought it was really well captured. And it was a good composition. And just technically it suffered just slightly, so I gave it 13.
Is that 13, Joe?
Yes.
Oh, that looks like to be the end of our images.
Wow. Wow. Okay. I hope I didn't offend anybody. I thought they were all really good. And you know, and I really applaud everybody for entering. I just thought there were some exquisite images, and you know, I can tell the ones that were good that just needed a little tweaking. And you know, I wouldn't worry so much about the score. Is that I hope that, you know, my goal as a judge is to be helpful in helping you be a better photographer.
Joe, I got to tell you that there were a couple of chat comments about your judging. You want to hear them now?
Sure.
Okay. You were great. Everybody loved you. Everybody that left a comment, really, you did a wonderful job. Thank you so much. Adios, drive carefully, and I love you all.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
So long.